Our first panel explores the theme upgrading Mumbai's infrastructure. I welcome to the dais our senior journalist, Ms. Haima Deshpande, who's our moderator for today. And our panelists for today are Shri Bhushan Gagrani, IAS Commissioner, Brihanmumbai Municipal Corporation, BMC. Dr. Shirish Sankhe, Director and Founding Partner, ISEG Foundation. Dr. V.S. Parthasarathy, Independent Director, Life Insurance Corporation, LIC. Board of Governors, IIM Mumbai, and former President of Mobility Services Sector, Mahindra Group. Thank you.
इतनी फीकी वेलकम क्या रे? ये भी कुछ मजा नहीं आया. चल मी लेट मी से माय फेवरेट स्टेटमेंट. आंखों में नमी और तालियों में कमी कभी नहीं होनी चाहिए. तो एक बार जोर है.
So we begin this session because time is of essence. So since time is of essence, we will have, the questions. I will be asking our panelists questions. They would be answering those. And the whole idea of this interaction is that there are people in this room who want information, who want to understand things. And there are people here who want to pass on the information. So this is not going to be something that is, where we are going to have, who's going to ask the better question. It's not going to be about that. It's going to be about how we get the information, how we, ensure that they tell us what we want to hear, and that should be done in a very nice, in a very amicable, and in a very wonderful manner. So now we begin now. So I think I'll begin with the man of the moment here, our BMC commissioner, because the lawmaker is the one you want to hear first. Everybody else follows afterwards, because his words hold weight. So I will begin with Mr. Gagrani first. Like, we are talking about Mumbai being on the forefront of India's economic journey. And we're talking about, several stakeholders here who are part of this journey. Now the question is, how do we ensure that this growth is sustainable and inclusive? Inclusive of all stakeholders who are part of this journey.
Good morning. First of all, many compliments to Bombay Chamber of Commerce and Industry on its foundation day. Thanks, Haima, for asking this question, but let me put the things little in perspective from my point of view. So, and it's a good tone is said by Shirish, and a lot of issues have been covered in his presentation. When we talk about infrastructure and its sustainability, see, infrastructure is necessary but not sufficient condition for any urban civic development and its sustainability. It is very, very essential but not sufficient. A friend just raised the question about why we are creating so many roads. In turn, we are promoting only private transport and whether it will remain sustainable. I think he's just gone for grab his cup of coffee. In many occasions, on many forums, I have given a very my favorite example. Public transport, the first metro in the world started in 1857 when we were fighting the first world war of independence in India. 1857. from Paddington in London. Now London has got 400 kilometer plus total metro network, and we just started 10 years back and will be doing 400 plus metro network. And nobody can take a private car into the coach of metro, I suppose. So the 1857 to this year and 2014 to this year, with the breakneck speed at which we are trying to pace up and we are trying to catch up. Now the question will be always raised of sustainability of infrastructure. Why? Because the world is talking about sustainability. What do you mean by sustainability? It's environmental sustainability, it's a financial sustainability, it is civic sustainability. So when we talk about sustainability of any infrastructure, public infrastructure, we should begin with whether it is affordable to us, sustainability from that point of view. Whether it's affordable, whether we will be able to cater to maintain the quality and delivery of this infrastructure in the long term. Then of course the question of environmental sustainability, since as I said this is just one example, we are catching up whatever world has done in 150 years, we are trying to catch up in 10 years. So environmental questions and challenges of course will remain. That's a very tightrope walking for us. And third is civic sustainability, and when I say civic sustainability, it's a mutual. It's not a public sector versus private sector or something. The civic sustainability is a mutual between the governance, not government, governance, and the public at large. So these sustainabilities are emerging with the transition, and I hope that infrastructure and sustainability will, of course, two sides of the same coin and interdependent on each other. So I guess the question is valid, but the answers are emerging out of that thing.
Thank you so much for that insight into, that stakeholders and sustainability. My next question is directed to Mr. Sankhe. Mr. Sankhe, you just spoke about growth drivers, and you gave us an insight into the growth drivers. But you were very confident when you said growth drivers if implemented. That was the word that you used. My question to you is, the gap between if implemented to when implemented. What is the problems, what are the challenges that you face to turn this if into when?
Yeah, first of all, as I mentioned, that the aspirations are dramatically aspirational. Okay, very few regions grow at a 10% real CAGR, right? So a lot of these objectives are done that way just to create an aspirational path. Because if I had said 6% growth, Mr. Gagrani would have walked out, right, to say that I am doing now. What's the big deal about this report should be thrown away, What I mean by that is, so therefore the path is quite aspirational. Remember that only, I think, Shanghai, in city regions, only a few city regions in the world grew more than 10% CAGR. Okay, I'm talking just about economic growth, and there are many other parameters, right? So that's why I use the word if, because there's a lot of implementation to be done to grow from 6% to 10%. Okay, so that's the first thing. It's an aspirational path. It's like if a company is growing at 8% and we say you should double next year, a lot needs to be done. Okay, right? But having said that, I'll tell you what I'm hopeful of and what still needs to be done. Okay, what I'm hopeful of is the breakneck speed that Mr. Gagrani mentioned. I think there seems to be, especially on infrastructure and development, a resolve which should be utilized in the right way. I saw some of it, and 400 kilometers of metro is just an example, but it's an important example, right? Similarly, the 3 ports that are coming up, right, and so on. We could have done it. And by the way, Bangalore got it completely wrong. I know some of you will be there. Where is the 400 kilometers of metro in Bangalore? Actually, when we wrote the Brihanmumbai report, we used to give the Bangalore Agenda Task Force as a best practice case study. But somehow, and I'm not criticizing any city, I'm just saying that there are a lot of cities which have not done things at this breakneck speed. So that gives me hope, okay, especially on infrastructure, right? What needs to be done differently, though, what I mentioned is the economic growth, which is job creation, sustainability, and livability. That focus and the vision around that needs to be fine-tuned. And part of the challenge is just the institutional architecture, okay, partly, right? Again, when I spoke to, before you became commissioner, I spoke to Mumbai Municipal Corporation, right? And I started talking about economic growth and tourism and so on. And I know many things are being done. And actually, one of the very senior officers told me, no, that's not part of our mandate. Our mandate is more, sadak, pani, and kachara. Okay. Again, I know that's not true, by the way, but so some institutional things need to be changed to say, hey, what is the mandate of a large corporation like Municipal, Greater Mumbai Municipal Corporation? I am sure Mr. Gagrani have things to say, and he and I still have to talk, but he has many plans, right? So, institutional architecture. There are like 9 agencies that have to put together this plan. So, the only place where it comes together is at the Chief Secretary, Chief Minister level, which is okay for Mumbai, but if you have to do that for Pune and Nagpur and so on, then that becomes quite difficult because the institutional architecture is missing, right? Third thing is the vision, which is, I call it the imagination, right? I think that many things, recently we were looking at a Central Park project in Navi Mumbai, okay? And beautiful Central Park, okay? Everything in place, okay, for citizens, but the amphitheater is dilapidated, the park closes at 8 p.m., okay, and so on, so that requires a bit of imagination, okay, and it can be done, okay, but it requires the next step imagination on even the infrastructure that we already have. And the last one is money. Originally, I would have said first one is money. But the last one is money because I think because of the land monetization possibilities and also the debt possibilities, I think there is money. Not enough, but 70-80% I could count, okay. So actually money is a challenge, but it's not big a challenge. So it's really the institutional architecture, imagination, and just the speed required by 10%. So even if it happens by 2033 or 2034, I will be quite happy. But those are the type of challenges I see.
Thank you so much for that. So to sum what he has just said is, which nobody will say now, is that we need what is 90% strong political will to ensure that these parameters are met, these reports are read, and these reports are implemented. So Mr. Sankhe has been saying it in a very nice way, in a very decent way, not using the word political, but actually it is that drive. Without that drive, I don't think this is actually going to happen even in 2030. Now we come to Dr. Parthasarathy. Dr. Parthasarathy, Mumbai's infrastructure is on a huge boom. Mumbai's infrastructure is on a huge boom. The question to you is, Mumbai. So the question to you is, with all this infrastructure boom, does it make the city more livable?
Okay, so I just thank you very much, and I just second that Bombay Chambers ko foundation de bahut mubarak ho, and you are connected with it, sir, so you can't say Bombay Chambers only, our chambers ko mubarak ho. But let me just go back and talk about something which somebody had stolen that story, so it is like a second story, but still it is my story, so I'll say it. I came to Mumbai when I got a rank in CA, and many offers came, and all were from Mumbai, unfortunately or fortunately. So I got an offer with L&T, Siemens, I got an offer from A.F. Ferguson. I took A.F. Ferguson, stayed in Thane, we came to Nariman Point for a job. I lasted exactly 15 days. Traveling from Thane to Nariman Point and back. After 15 days, I said, ye jeena bhi koi jeena hai lallu. I then went back to Ahmedabad, where I came from. Okay? So, and I started my career from there. As luck would have it, 15 years later, I'm back here. So, what we need to do as a livability is that we have to make this process of staying and commuting and going more easier. And I don't know whether you want to go into that answer now or this. First is our definition of what is infrastructure needs to be clear. It is not clear today. Yeah, is it safe, secure, access? You know, we talked about things. Is it that we need to have, you know, if this is a classic project ran by a private sector, what will they do? They will make change management a big theme in this whole thing. It is almost like change management will be the next big, you know, money will come later, sir. Second, I will put change management as number 2. Once you reimagined, you will put change management. So, that is that. So, for example, you know, Mahindra World City, Chennai. I had gone there and I loved the concept that, you know, you live, stay and work. And that makes life so much easier. We are bringing a new airport. Are we reimagining a township or an integrated city? And if we do change our mindset to that, it will become much more livable and much more enjoyable. So you can work, play and live in that kind of place. So as we are doing, sir, my only input, because you asked me, I don't know whether as a citizen or a corporate, but if you can do more of this, where supply chains are smaller and movement footprint is minimized. So sir, somebody asked that more roads means more cars. The answer to that is more smaller supply chain or smaller life cycle chains, where you work, play and live, become smaller footprints. And second is, we are reimagining metros today. Can we reimagine when we are talking about 2030, is it air taxis which will be there? Can we think about them and can we plan for them 20 years ahead of scale? And will we be better for it now as we plan for it? It may not be even implementable 10, 12 years from now. But if we create air corridors, maybe it will start the do. And that's where the change management. And the last one, for making it livable, is schools. You rightly pointed out, sir. So living is means my bacche ka admission kahan lu? Yeah, that's my biggest worry when staying in Mumbai or any other place for that matter. It's an India problem, not only a Mumbai problem. And what education do I get? How do I change people to think differently in future versus what we are thinking? Are we making them ready for future? Sorry, that's the long answer to a small question.
Thank you so much for that. The summing up of what Dr. Parthasarathy just said was, you know, it's as if all of us here in this room came by cars. How many of us traveled by a public transport? Very good. That was just... So the whole point is when we are talking about all of us have a grouse against, you know, that debate. The debate is always there, you know, about cars on the road and the public transport. That debate has been there, will be there, and I think it will also be there in the later years. So the whole thing is, I will have a car, but my neighbor should travel by metro. So unless and until this kind of a mindset changes to I will travel by the metro and let him also travel by the metro, or let her travel by the metro, then the change, then the livability, then the traffic, I think it would make a difference on the roads. But the problem now is that, you know, that everybody wants to own a car because it is easy. It is easy to transfer. So the whole thing is that if people, you know, people of a certain this thing start traveling by public transport, start traveling by this thing, then automatic upgradation of that public transport will happen. Today, if you're looking at your best buses, they're choking to death because, look, I mean, you look at them and you don't want to even be closer to them because you're scared whether they'll fall apart or they will ram into you. You know, that is a kind of thing that you have when you look at them. Why? Because if people of a certain this thing started traveling in them, then automatically to accommodate that kind of passengers, that kind of travel, you're going to have an upgradation of that system. So this is my summing up of this now. So my next question to Mr. Gagrani is, you know, in a recent presentation at the Mumbai Press Club, you had mentioned that a slew of infrastructure projects are taking off in the city, and this is going to trigger a socio-economic transformation. You had said that. So I just want to understand, what is this socio-economic transformation that you spoke of and that you know, that you elaborate? Please elaborate on that.
Well, I react this thing in a couple of peripheral indicators, because socio-economic transformation has something to do with livability also. It has something to do with making this infrastructure available to public at affordable and accessible manner. So the first point is visiting back again to our, I won't call as a perception, or I won't call myth also, that the entire infrastructure is being created keeping in mind a very few cream section of society. And this perception is created because the visible infrastructure, what is visible infrastructure is roads. So road is a visible infrastructure. That is why the perception is being created that this entire infrastructure is catering to a particular maybe 2 or 3% people of society. Now we already talked about that we are creating metro or something. That's a separate matter. However, there is large amount of infrastructure which is very egalitarian, but that is not visible to eyes. And that is why, like for example, water infrastructure is completely egalitarian infrastructure which reaches to at our home the best quality of water which is provided by BMC, and BMC takes pride in that. So that does not discriminate between the billionaire and slum dweller. And probably this is the only city of that scale which is providing, as a municipal corporation, assured water and cleanest possible water. So that is very egalitarian. Secondly, the sewage treatment. Sewage treatment, what BMC is doing now, investing about 25,000 crore rupees in 7 STPs and doing the tertiary treatment, and having the about 3,000 kilometers of line under the belly of Mumbai. So that is also not visible. So all these non-visible infrastructure we don't talk about, that is because obviously it is not visible. So we talk only about visible things. Now livability, socio-economic transformation. Now livability, when we talk, where do we benchmark ourselves as a city? That is very important. Somebody talked about lies, damn lies and statistics. Whether we are not lying, but whether we are benchmarking ourselves with Melbourne, the best livable city, or Oslo, second best livable city, or Copenhagen, where do we benchmark ourselves? And if we benchmark, or Vienna for that matter, if we benchmark ourselves to those cities or those urban spaces, then let me be very candid, we are nowhere close. Our livability by that standard is nowhere close to those cities. That I can tell you, I don't mind telling you as a Commissioner of Mumbai. If we derive the basic minimum requirements for livability, affordable housing, urban mobility, quality of water, quality of air, and open spaces. So only on these 4 or 5 things I can say that we may not be competing with the world-class cities, but we are not lagging behind too much. Because the amount of diverse population Mumbai is catering to cannot be compared with any world-class city. We have a slum dweller whose daily income may be 50 rupees or 100 rupees, labor, maybe 200 rupees. And we have a billionaire whose daily income may be more than 1 crore rupees. So we are catering to such a diverse population. So livability indicators also keep changing accordingly. I cannot provide same kind of service to everyone which is affordable and accessible. Now when we talk about infrastructure development, let me divide that thing also into two. One is public sector and second is private sector, where huge, you may be all of us are witnessing, and some of may be the part of that also, huge redevelopment is taking place. So the infrastructure and redevelopment of societies or houses is creating a canvas where, because of the mobility, lot of unaffordable areas are becoming affordable slowly. Those areas are becoming accessible, where just after opening a coastal road, the Nariman Point, which was 250 rupees to 300 rupees per square feet per month, and half of the Nariman Point was empty, it has gone to 500 rupees per square feet per month within 3 months, and no space is available now, or hardly any space is available. So if somebody is moving to Nariman Point, that means that area is available and become affordable to some other layer of society, like MTHL. MTHL is opening a huge hinterland into Uran, Panvel, Kharghar in that region. So lot of affordable housing will take place. So these kind of socio-economic transformation will keep happening. The mobility within the city and within MMR will hugely happen in next 10 to 15 years, and it will bring lot of, I won't call equilibrium, but lot of equality in socio-economic sphere of Mumbai.
Thank you so much for that. My next question is directed to Mr. Sankhe. You know, there is this build mania, build more mania happening in Mumbai. That is how we can classify this whole thing. Everywhere we are building, we are looking at tall structures, we are looking at bridges, we are going above, we are going below, we are going everywhere. Now the question to you is, you know, is Mumbai's ecological infrastructure being neglected, and is that a casualty of all of this build mania that is happening?
Yeah, the rebuilding of large urban areas is a constant process. I know that the change in DC rules may have facilitated that, and it was sort of not there for a long time, and lot will happen. They come in waves normally. So the first large wave is we are seeing now, right? And I think that we should consider as a natural process, because even buildings last only 30, 40 years. You know, at some point they have to be broken down and rebuilt. Okay, how they need to be rebuilt, with what FSI and so on. Generally, the core of the city and cities like Greater Mumbai do go vertical, right? So I don't have personally any problem with that notion, even though I'm sure there are a lot of local level imbalances may be happening because of the FSI plus transportation and water equation locally, right? That needs to be thought through. But as far as ecological is concerned, I look at it as in 5-6 parameters, right? One is just the percentage of public transport, right? I think that's one of the most important city parameters. Of course, Mumbai has it very high because it used to be 80-85%. In fact, it will go down a little bit. But I think if we can maintain that 75 to 80% with the metro plus suburban rail plus buses, okay, I think that buses is the neglected part of public transport. And in most corporations and so on, it's considered as the loss-making unit, therefore actually reduced. In fact, it's one of the most important ones. So if we can get the transportation part, especially the percentage public transportation, the right infrastructure is being built, but if we can get it done rightfully with buses and what I call last mile connectivity. I think that, at least I feel that that will stay in the right direction. It won't go in the right direction because it started with a 80-85% public transportation because of the local system.
The world is talking about carbon footprints and, negative this thing and all that. And here we are talking about, we are having this build mania. And what is...
No,
So our carbon footprints, where are we standing? What are we looking at with all this building?
So transportation is one of the biggest part of carbon footprint, and public transportation reduces the carbon footprint per capita dramatically. That's why one of the focus is on, if we are specifically talking about carbon footprint, right? Then the vehicles then need to go electric is the second part of carbon footprint. I'm just now focusing on the carbon footprint part of it, okay? I think that is now on. That particular one is going to happen. I think in another 5 years, all of you are going to, maybe already happening, but probably going to buy electric vehicles. It's already, the prices are coming down and so on. The buses will go electric, almost 100%, okay, by 2030, and along with that metro. So that's the electrification part of it, right? So that's the second part. Third one, if you look at carbon footprint, is where does the power come from? It's electrified, but where does the power come from? And that's a national phenomenon, which is currently Maharashtra has 17% of its power coming from renewable. That will move to 40% by 2030, okay? And that is already happening. So on a carbon footprint level, lot is happening. I am not sure whether all other ecological parameters, especially air quality, is something that I worry about, because it's, and maybe Mr. Gagrani can also talk about it, because that's not directly related to the carbon footprint. It has many other elements, including the build mania, which is construction, right? So that I think we need to figure out. Delhi, of course, is a much worse situation, but we need to be much better off, okay? So I think from that perspective, I think we do need to think. The third one is water, right? I think we should be, I mean, if the projects and so on, especially if we go to 24/7 water, then I think that makes sure that the water part of the ecological thing comes into being. I would not go through every parameter, but if you take water, air, and general carbon footprint as the three ecological parameters, I think they are either they're going in the right direction or it's sort of staying in the right direction. But the one that worries about me is the air quality.
I guess when we look at the air quality of Delhi and all the news that emanates every day about air quality, we look at, we wake up in the morning and we see a haze outside our windows. Definitely, that is worrisome. And I'm so happy that this is being taken really seriously, because I think in Mumbai, there are, as a journalist, I have seen that, the powers that we do does take it seriously, and there are serious efforts on to ensure that, Mumbai's air quality does not match up to the frightening statistics of Delhi. Having said that, now I come to Dr. Parthasarathy. Dr. Parthasarathy, when you're looking at Mumbai, you see all these tall buildings, you see all of it, you see everything that is being built. Do you think that in this, when there is buildable land, there's a shortage of buildable land, do you think that Mumbai is overbuilt?
I think if we all only talk about Mumbai and keep building more in Mumbai, I think the statement has some validity. But what I kind of understand is the MMR concept is widening and broadening the entire ecosystem, right? So we are going taller, but we are also going broader. Yeah? And I think both are equally important solutions in this. And I have absolutely no qualms in saying that we are doing it well. I must compliment not just Mumbai, but the entire ecosystem of India. Having been able to come at a time when, US, when they built all this, they didn't have any problems, right, of carbon footprint, when they became thing. But we unfortunately have to, deal with carbon footprint even as we are doing. And it's important. I mean, there's nothing, we don't have to say they didn't do it, so we shouldn't do it, but because it's our citizens who are getting affected. But it's a, yeah, so I'm coming. No, I don't think so. It is overbuilt. I think there is enough scope to build more and even to go as high as they are going right now. The key thing for us to ensure is slightly different. I'll ask the question a little differently and say, hey, how do I want to reimagine? And the upgrading infrastructure is probably a misnomer. It will be reimagining infrastructure, right? So if I do, one of the good things about Delhi, in spite of the air pollution, from a citizen point of view, that Gurgaon has certain industries very clearly inbuilt into it, and they are all staying in Gurgaon, going to that industry in Gurgaon, right? So it's a shorter commute, shorter thing. Similarly, Delhi has become some hub. Then Faridabad has become some hub. Noida has become some hub. So I think when we are reimagining our broader, bigger, etc., we must reimagining this come. So I'm sure Dr. Shirish in his paper must have related to it. If we build everything in Mumbai, like the Bollywood, as well as what we do about the financial center, everything is this, then everything will have to come into Mumbai. But if we build some of these hubs away from Mumbai, then there will be two-way movement within the MMR, and that will many way facilitate. Because if you always see, traffic on one side is always very, very heavy, the other side is very light. Yeah. So this is a,
so 17 of the 19 business hubs are being built outside.
So that's the answer. That's how to look at, are we building? Yeah. Sorry.
No, the growth hub, G hub plan which is prepared by Niti Aayog, and Shirish is very actively involved in that. So one of the key indicators for any city is, or for that matter Mumbai, is retention of talent. How do we retain our talent back into the city? Now coming back to whether we are overbuilt, my little, apart from all policies and all those things, my little crude answer to this is that it's a demand and supply in the market. If there are no takers, no builder will build Mumbai, overbuilt. Whether it's overbuilt, it's not. Overword, I don't completely agree with that, subscribe to that. However, it's a demand and supply. People want to come here, people want to remain here, people retain their base here. In fact, yes, there is a both way migration is happening. As my friend said, that why people are not living in Mumbai, or for that matter India, going out, but at the same time huge number of people from America, the young crowd is coming back and doing from zero. They are doing their startups and everything. So it's not that, it's a migration is not one way, it's a two-way. Lot of people are coming. I know a lot of IITians, including my son, is come back. Now they want to start here from here. It's not because of the best possible urban civic amenities, but the ecosystem, the opportunities. So whether it is a overbuilt, the market needs to decide. Our job is to facilitate, make the proper regulation, ensure proper minimum requirements to be complied with. But it's a market to decide.
Just one small thing I wanted to add to that context. I'm just saying some of the times our definitions are fairly straight-jacketed by history. For example, as we are reimagining infrastructure, should we reimagine our school infrastructure? Yeah, so this is a very important point. For example, our courses are still catering to, today computer is almost a year mark. So our students who are coming out of schools able to use computers much better. I'm working with an NGO which is making it a mission for every school, underprivileged school, to have it. But is this being thought about? Can Mumbai take a lead role in that all its schools, especially the municipal and below, have computer education in such a way, because when they come out, then they will seek employment in the industries that you want to, then you can drive. So you are only driving it by saying, I want to make it a hub of IT. But hub of IT has been taken by Bangalore in some extent, and they are very unhappy about it now, right, from at least the city point of view. If we are taking it, we must start at schools and build that. So I'm kind of saying, can we widen the scope of that infrastructure discussion to make this come through?
Worth a thought, definitely. Coming back to Mr. Gagrani, you were talking about, the connectivity and the increase in prices. Talking about Nariman Point and how the price has gone up and somebody else is coming and taking it up, and all of that you said. And the connectivity, connecting the island city to the hinterland. That is what also you said. So will this connecting, connecting the island city to the hinterland, will it also cool the unreal estate prices? The real estate prices are pretty unreal at this point of time. Will it cool it?
We hope that it may happen. It should happen, but it will not happen within a short span. The particular cycle for this thing needs to happen is about 5 to 10 years, 5 to 7 years. So if I build an infrastructure which will open up the huge land parcel, however, that entire dynamics of providing infrastructure to that available land parcel, then the entire the software, so to say, to be created there, it takes some time. So I am very hopeful that within next 5 to 7 years, there is going to be huge market correction because there is going to be huge supply in Mumbai, in MMR region, huge supply. And obviously when there is a supply, it's a simple economics. I won't say that the market will crash or something, but definitely real estate equilibrium is going to hit Mumbai in next 5 to 7 years. So hold on your investments for now.
That's real good news coming out of this
It's a simple,
discussion.
it's a no-brainer, it's a no-brainer.
So that is really that. Now I come to Mr. Sankhe about, we are talking about these huge projects and huge displacement that is happening along with these projects. Have you, when you make these master plans, when you are talking about, projections, when you're talking about that, what is the vision? Do you have these displaced population coming to your, coming to those statistics also being looked at? And what happens to this huge population? What are the plans? As a private, because private-public partnership is also very important. Everybody is working. I think PPPs are catching on. And nothing is happening without the 3 Ps. So how is this displaced population? Do you account for that in your plans?
Displaced population because of infrastructure?
Yeah, project affected.
Okay. See, the overall plan has 3 million, 30 lakh more jobs, okay. Another 30 lakh affordable houses, okay. And out of that 1 million, 10 lakh jobs for women, okay. So the redistribution can happen, but then there is an overall growth that we are planning. A lot of that growth, of course, part of the growth is in Mumbai city, and then a lot of that growth outside. So my sense is that generally huge amount of opportunity creation is what we are looking at, okay. When an economy grows at 9%, 10%, associated with the infrastructure creation, affordable housing creation, it's actually both wealth making, opportunity making, and generation making, generation changing opportunities, okay. So that's what I think we should strive for. And in that process, we should facilitate whatever redistribution happens. The good news is that a lot of slum redevelopment, at least, is happening in situ, right? A lot of that. Some people don't agree with that, but that is how it's going on, right? And so on. So therefore, I will see just because of infrastructure project, the traditional displacement that would have happened if all the slum redevelopment happened ex situ. That means all the people were pushed out or so on. But it's happening in situ. So my sense is that the population change and the displacement change will be slow and steady according to economic principles. But we should think about it as a massive opportunity creation, wealth creation, generation changing opportunity for the next 10 to 15 years. Okay, that's the way I think about it.
So in a way, what was Mumbai, this entire transition from Bombay to Mumbai, that thing in between. So we had a whole lot of population moving out when it became Mumbai, moving out, and the city grew. And so that is the growth. And that is why we have MMR. We are seeing that. This is what my summation as a journalist is. My last question to Dr. Parthasarathy, and then we open the room out to questions, is what role do you see for PPPs in solving the infrastructure deficit in Mumbai?
I think everywhere, the public, when I say PPP, you're meaning public, private participation. So this without this partnership, it will not going to, nothing is going to work. So therefore, the role of PPP cannot be undermined. There is a role where the administrator, the state, the city will have to take lead role, which is in terms of some kind of public infrastructure, etc. I'm more and more now, the entire thing is being outsourced or partnered with the private so that the money can be augmented. More importantly, critical resource can be augmented and new technology also can be brought in. So from all perspective, PPP is here to stay. How much of it will use? Is it easy to use? It's always been the trouble is making that work. In some places the model is very well developed now, especially the road infrastructure, including the tolls and so on. It's clear. In some cases it's not so clear. But without this partnership, it will be a slower movement than what it can be. And second is involving them indirectly involves people, because industry with it is a large population of employees, etc. So that also then becomes an important part of this whole equation. And like I said, every time you should think of change management. So that's one thing that you keep in mind as you build. So PPP in its truest sense is not just an option, it is a necessity.
Just a 30-second level, we have reached now the conclusion that a lot of infrastructure should not be PPP'd. Okay, I mean there's some infrastructure that should be PPP'd, airports, good example, roads to a certain extent, good example, but otherwise the IRR equations don't work and the risk-reward ratios don't work. Yeah, so the first X
that's where I think we need to bring, for example, sewage, waste to energy.
Right.
These are technologies which are required, and if you hold the old technology, we'll get old answers. But if we take partnership, and that has to be subsidized, sir. That's not the debate, right?
Yeah.
Electricity was privatized, solar, and at 17 rupees was the first contract I got. Today is 3 rupees.
Yes.
So
there is certain type of infrastructure should be done by the government, like metros. We do believe that should be done by the government. Like the Atal Setu should be done because of it gives a lot of the IRR for government is in terms of taxes, whereas the IRR for the private sector is just that project. So there's a lot of advanced thinking there. So, but the real thing is that then the 80% of the investment, once you build that Atal Setu, that entire investment that happens on the other side is all private sector, right? So it's a facilitating. So the way to think about it is not necessarily PPP of every infrastructure, but the larger ecosystem. So 70% of this investment is coming from private sector. But in the infrastructure, 80% of the investment is being done by the government. That's the right model.
So thank you panelists for this wonderful morning of discussion. Now we leave the room open for questions. Just a request, questions. Any suggestions can be taken out to the tea room over a cup of tea, suggestions to be discussed. Questions please.
There must be a mic.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
You are audible. Sankhe, you talked about, in your growth factor 3, you talked about mice being a very critical part of the program. And I'm happy that Honorable Commissioner talked about benchmarking the city. One of the big things that Bombay lacks is a good convention center. It's lacking. Any good city must have that as a primary part of MICE. What is the thinking around a world-class convention center in Mumbai?
No, should we answer that?
Yeah, one question.
One question.
Please,
Yeah, just I need in the report itself, it's a big growth driver. Actually, currently I see at least five large convention center projects that are being proposed. One of them near the new airport. Okay, very large convention center. One of them other areas. One of them in the Mumbai Port Trust land. We need to rationalize and see how many we can do, but that's definitely required. Maybe you know specifically. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I would first compliment BCCI on celebrating 189 years. And this city, Mumbai, we all as a very proud Mumbai Mumbai has been the numero uno city, at least in India, and our commissioner referred to quality of life and living in cities like Melbourne, Oslo, and that is the direction in which he did not mention, but indication is we are moving in that direction. Keeping that thought in mind, I also had another thought that the quality of life factor needs a quantum improvement by way of even creating a civic awareness. Now, a civic awareness which we need to create in our city is, I see all over the city. People.
Sir, if you may just give us your question, because we are a little short of time.
Yeah.
It would be great if we could have a question, please.
I think we need to communicate to every citizen not to litter, to use dustbins, not to throw things all over the city and place, wherein for cleaning up, it's a big problem.
Yeah, so your question is, how what are we doing about it? That we can take as a question, yeah?
No,
Thank you.
And the number two is, we
Sir, only
mentioned,
one question.
Can we please move on from you, because you can discuss with Mr. Gagrani outside over a cup of tea. That will be, I think, very warm and very interesting also.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Gagrani, I have just one question, 30 seconds. On Sadak, Pani and Kachra, just your assessment. 10 years back, Mr. Ajay Mehta came and he said the same thing. And I find only Pani is fine, Kachra all over the city. And I told that, I can drive you throughout the city, I'll spend full day. If you want, I can spend full day with you to show you all the Kachra which is there in Mumbai. And Sadak, you must be driving yourself. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what is your question
What does he rate himself on these three parameters?
on these three parameters?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Vedant from Walking Project, a pedestrian advocacy group, and I saw Mr. Sankhe's whole presentation. I really liked it, but I think the walkability aspect of our city is missing in a lot of locations. We are building all of this metro infrastructure, but the immediate surrounding is fine, but immediately after you go to the 50 meters away from the metro station, the walkability is completely gone out. Even outside this hotel, the footpath we are seeing, it does not follow the Indian guidelines that are supposed to be followed. The heights, the sloping, all of those issues. And across MMR, MMRDA, lots of other bodies that are implementing all of these road projects, they do not follow the guidelines necessary, the widths necessary for footpaths. So that is a huge problem with quality of life that I think we are missing. Why do you think we are missing that in Mumbai? Do you think, first of all, are we missing? And how
Sir,
are we
we'll
going
have to just cut your question there because we're running out of time, sorry.
So I think his question is about footpaths. So I think we take that one last question. I'm sorry about the time thing. One last question. There's a sir there.
Acha, I just want to ask a question, that, I have been hearing that some of the parameters, how do we compare for Bombay as such? But how are we have identified properly and how do we measure things on a regular basis and how do we are seeing that what direction we are going, and also are we taking some kind of feedback or some way of engagement in a manner that should help us?
Thank you so much, sir. I think
Hello, this is Sanjay.
I have one last question for sir here. I think, yes, sir.
From
yes,
this
sir.
side, may not be visible to you.
No,
This is
sir,
Sanjay from Tata AA Life Insurance. I am the first CSR awardee from Tata Group. So my question is not a question but a solutions to the problem. Is that we have, just like we are the social group, there are people who are working on the plantation, on the roadside, cleaning up the activities and all those things. So we planted hundreds of thousands of trees on the roadside on the Navi Mumbai areas. So I think that the problem is not the problem. Problem is that socio-economic people has to be tightly coupled up. So there are a lot of people who are working on the socio-economic side. Maybe the large group has to be joined up together rather than small motto working over here and there. And there will be a close support need to be required from the municipal side or any other side. When we started planting, there is no support was there, but closely when we start working, there are a lot of people come up, the Sidco to cover the garden become green, and so on and so forth. So start supporting the small groups. Maybe that solutions will be there near about.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank
this
you
is
so
not
much for your...
problem. I cannot see that there are any problems here and there. It's more about the
Yes.
collaboration.
Thank you so much, sir, for your suggestion. I'm sure Mr. Gagrani is going to take back home that thought that as a takeaway from here. And anybody's questions who he has not been able to answer, it's a takeaway from this session here. So one really last question here from sir.
Well, I'm very happy that there have been wonderful presentations by all of you, especially by Mr. Gagrani and Mr. Sankhe. And I would like to ask one question. I think many times we talk of infrastructure, but we hardly do any evaluation. Now, metros I've been working for the last 20 years. And they have been working in all cities. In Mumbai also they are working for 10 years. And I would like to consider two criteria. One is that what is the investment efficiency? I am not talking of return on investment. I am only saying, for example, can we consider how many people we carry per crore of investment? And I found out that figure in Mumbai. Forget about even the youngest metro, which is only 1 month old. So you can't blame on that. But the point is this, that metro is something like about 70 to 80 times, not percentage, please understand, more inefficient than buses, because per crore rupees of investment, buses can carry about 70 to 80 times more people than in metros. And as a result of that, metros will always be losses making, because metro has a very high fare, low occupancy, and very high investment. I don't think anybody bothers about the investment efficiency. Second point, Mumbai is one of the shortage in space. So I thought one aspect that we should consider, one of the elements that we should do is the space efficiency, especially the road space efficiency. There also I would look at it like this thing. Let us not, I don't want to, I think I've been using car for the last 60 years and I find that a very powerful instrument. But there must be a balance between public transport and private transport, and that must be mathematically proved. What is happening, again the same thing.
Sir,
Per square meter of space.
We are talking about the public infrastructure projects, not the private infrastructure projects, and efficiency of those projects.
Yeah.
So the first and foremost thing is that we need to allow a particular time frame to be able for that project to properly set and deliver. Any metro project, when it is opened, politically it needs to be opened in phases. Till the entire circuit is completed, all the projects will, you find that they are not very efficient. They are not serving properly, number one. If you take out any newspaper from 1994 to 1997, you will find that, and every public infrastructure project goes to the same trajectory. There will be opposition, there will be farmers, there will be PAP, there will be environmentalists, there will be PILs, there will be all sorts of things will be there. So 1994 to 1997, you take out any newspaper, the vehement opposition about Mumbai-Pune Expressway. How it is inefficient, how it is, it's a white elephant, how it is creating so much of displacement, how it is. Now can you imagine Mumbai-Pune connectivity without expressway, the first expressway of Mumbai? So the project needs little bit of transition to get it settled. Now, per se, that project may not be yielding the IRR, it's a public project I'm talking, IRR or financially not efficient. But the Pune-Mumbai Expressway has brought so much of industrial investment which is not part of that project. Entire Chakan, Talegaon is because of Pune-Mumbai Expressway. Entire Hinjewadi. We could retain our position in IT, otherwise whatever we have in IT could have been completely gone to Bangalore and Hyderabad. But still we are in the race. It is because of this road. But when the road was designed, these things were not factored in. So public infrastructure project, you cannot think in isolation. there are many socio-economic peripheral benefits which are likely to derive in future. So that is my only take on that. As far as municipal things are concerned, water, my friend has already admitted that it's happy with the water. The roads, I, as a citizen of Mumbai, I admit that our quality of road surface is very, very average. Now, how to improve that thing? There are many solutions. After those solutions, we have arrived to the conclusion that the huge concretization, in fact, all roads more than 9 meters width needs to be concretized. There will be a lot of debate and there will be a lot of contestation on that issue also, whether concretization will environment friendly and how we will do the services underlying that thing. However, after IIT, after so many global experts, the only solution which has arrived at this point of time is concretization, and that we have already started. Though there are some contractual issues, there are some implementing problems, but we are hopeful that the work has already started, and within next 2 years about 2,000 kilometers of road in Mumbai will be concretized, and that will be a good relief. I won't claim that there will be absolutely final thing, but that will be a good relief. As far as the garbage is concerned, the time has come, and my friend has already spoken about the creating awareness, that it's a mutual thing. You keep creating garbage and municipality keep lifting garbage and dumping it somewhere is not the solution. Huge amount of garbage. We were creating garbage 5,000 TPD, now we have reached to 7,000 TPD. And this kind of garbage, howsoever best facility you will create, you will still run short of that thing. So the time has come to tell people that it is a part of civic sense. Yesterday, I got a call from a very posh society from Andheri that the people are going for agitation because their sewer lines are choked. I will show you the photos also. And when my people went there, the sewer lines were choked because of lot of plastic was thrown into that line. Now everybody will say, no, I have not thrown the plastic. I don't know. I am not a party to that thing. However, the time has come to realize, understand that it is a part of civic sense. It is not necessarily, of course, wherever there are shortages, shortcomings, it is a duty of municipality, municipal facility to provide that kind of a service. I am not saying that our services are 100% correct, but at the same time, if it is not mutually correspondingly responded, then I don't think that whatever we create will be adequate to serve the society. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And we can all leave this room thinking that we have a bureaucrat helming the BMC who walks the talk. Thank you so much, Mr. Sankhe, Mr. Gagrani, and Mr. Parthasarathy for your time today and for this wonderful interaction that we've had.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, speakers. Kindly stay back, and I request Ms. Pinky Mehta, our president, to kindly give the mementos as a token of our appreciation. Thank you.
Wonderful.
I also request the Bombay Chamber team and Mr. Amit Kekare to kindly come on stage, and our DG also for a quick photograph after.